This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, September 2. In Squiz Kids Today, making friends in the world. Antarctica's new ice-breaking boat. Scooter Patterson owns the Paralympics, and how cockies use cutlery. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
If you happen to be on Sydney Harbour this week and notice that the sails of the Sydney Opera House are lit up with the Australian and American flags, you might be wondering what that's all about. It's because this week marks the 70th anniversary of a thing called the ANZUS Treaty. ANZUS is spelt ANZUS, and it stands for Australia, New Zealand, United States. Now, what's a treaty, I hear you ask? A treaty between countries is an agreement between them to cooperate with one another, to look out for each other, to have one another's back if anything bad happens. And since 1951, when the ANZUS Treaty was signed between our New Zealand and American cousins, our three countries have always looked out for one another. Because if you imagine the world being like a big school playground, it's good to know you have people who will always be on your side, no matter what. Later this week, Prime Minister Scott Morrison will have a phone call with US President Joe Biden to commemorate the signing of the treaty, and to reassure one another that the friendship between our countries is still strong. And there is your geopolitics lesson for the week.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in the Netherlands, where a $1.9 billion icebreaker has begun a 6-week journey bound for Australia. What's an icebreaker? That's the name given to ships that sail into frozen waters. They're specially built so that they can cut through ice shelves. Amazing, huh? This one is called Nuyina, which comes from the Tasmanian Aboriginal language Palawakani, and it means Southern Lights. And in 6 weeks' time, when it arrives in Hobart, where it will be based, it will start work as Australia's brand new floating lab for scientists to go back and forth to Antarctica to conduct really important research. I've stuck a link in today's episode notes to a story about the ship, including video which shows how big and impressive it is, and a neat comparative drawing of the Nuyina next to the boat it is replacing, the Aurora Australis, which has worked as an icebreaker for 30 years and is ready now to have a well-earned rest.
Sport time.
Aussie Paralympian Grant Scooter Patterson says he's considering hiring someone to answer his phone and reply to text messages after winning a bronze and silver medal in the swimming pool in Tokyo. The athlete from Cairns, whose nickname Scooter comes from the fact he gets around on a tricycle, has built up a huge fan base following his regular appearances on the TV coverage of the games. Maybe you've seen him. And after winning his medals and winning a whole lot of Aussies' hearts in the process, he's had so many people phoning to congratulate him and messaging him on social media that he joked yesterday it was going to take at least a day to get back to everyone. Scooter, who was born with a condition called diastrophic dysplasia, which means he hasn't grown in the same way that most of us do, has been on the Australian Paralympic team for 13 years. These medals are the first that he's won at a Games, and he reckons he's over the moon. And so are all his friends and family in Cairns. I've stuck a link to a video of Scooter's story in today's episode notes.
Animal Kingdom.
In a week where the Queensland and UK governments have declared a ban on plastic knives and forks for us humans, a bunch of cockies in Indonesia are showing how it's done using tree branches as cutlery to pry open sea mangoes. Scientists studying a flock of Goffin's Cockatoos noticed the birds making tools from tree branches to pry out mango seeds. There's a video in your episode notes for you to witness this delicate balancing act. Lots of animals use tools to help them find and eat food. Orangutans in Borneo have been known to make a sort of canoe to help them collect water plants. And if that's not enough of an animal fix for you today, can I just suggest you check out the glorious images from the Wildlife Photography Awards. From narwhal shrimp in the Mediterranean Sea, to cheetahs swimming across a flooded river in Africa, and a gecko in a fight to the death with a tree snake. All the photos are awesome. I've stuck a link in today's episode notes to some of them. Perfect for a bit of homeschooling internet trawling today.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Which city in far north Queensland does Craig's scooter Patterson come from? That's right, it's Cairns. Question number 2. The capital city of Tasmania, where our new icebreaker is headed, is named what? Yeah, it's Hobart. Question number 3. Other than Australia, which 2 countries are part of the ANZUS Treaty? That's right, it's New Zealand and the United States of America.
Shout outs.
It's September 2, World Coconut Day. Did you know that when it's burned, the outer husk of a coconut is a really good mozzie repellent? It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Wilson from Fairfield Heights, Vraj from Glendenning, Patrick from Taralga, Finn from Crookwell, Emma from Roseville, Tallulah from Hunter Valley, Tilda from Sydney, Zara from DY, Cooper from Rosemeadow, Jemima from Harden, James from Perth, Evelyn from Doncaster East, Roma from St Kilda East, and Lucy and Harry from Coogee. And a belated birthday wish to Elise, who's also from Coogee. Plus, because our friends in Victoria, Canberra and New South Wales are all in lockdown, we're sending out home learning herograms. To Lockie from Canberra, who is doing an amazing job homeschooling, and a big happy birthday from your dad. Also a herogram to Mr Ainsworth at Westport Public School in Port Macquarie for being a marvellous teacher from grade 6 Grevillea class. Archie and Woody at Kentucky Public School would like to send a shout out to all the kindy, year 1 and year 2s in Miss Patterson's class who are currently homeschooling. Herograms also go to 3-4T and Mrs Tritton at Mount Riverview Public School, Class 1-2 Orange at Roseville Public School, and Year 3 and Mrs Pass at North Ainslie Primary School. Elisa sends a shout out to her caring teacher Ms Hoser in her Class 2H at Antonio Park Primary School in Mitcham, and finally a home learning shout out to Clara and Amelia from Ballon. Your mum is really proud of you for working so hard in your 7th lockdown. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you want a classroom shout out, or you'd like to send a home learning herogram, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out. Squiz Kids is proudly supported by the Judith Neilson Institute for Journalism and Ideas.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.